umemeza abantu abadala kangaka nguye bantwana kanisaleleli ngani umbiko wozalwa kwenkosi uJesu.
My name is Charlotte DeVito. I run an organisation called Trade Plus Aid. We believe that the basis of most problems in developing countries is poverty and the lack of income. So we look at ways in which to create employment for people who would like to earn a living through their own skill, to look after their own family, so that it's not aid. We're not giving aid. We're giving them the opportunity for training, the opportunity for livelihood, and the opportunity to basically look after themselves and their families and make a better future for themselves.
It was quite a revelation. It's not often you meet somebody who've spent it seems their whole career, their whole kind of adult life, setting up and working charities, but in a really focused and productive way. And she's terribly matter of fact about it. That this is what she does. This is how she does it. And she's very knowledgeable about how to make them work, how to make the people money that she's trying to make money for, you know.
Inevitably, crime, violence, and no training opportunities, no hope. I mean, 4 or 5 children to one family, many of the women are on their own. People don't eat for 2 or 3 days, that they have no means to feed themselves whatsoever. There's no social welfare programme that allows that. But worse still, the elderly and the infirm, and many people suffering from HIV, many people suffering from TB, which are quite common here, they do receive medication, but they can't actually take their medication because they don't have anything to eat, and you have to be able to eat when you take the medicine, or it simply doesn't stay down.
There's a few big organisations and charities which also do what Charlotte's doing, and she's very much on her own, and I've got so much respect for someone campaigning on their own, and she's gone out to the front line. She knows what she's talking about. She's done extraordinary work in education and alleviating poverty and bringing food to children that otherwise would starve. And from what I've seen, she's been right out there, committed and on the front line. And those are the people I like to work with, because those are the people who I know are very much in tune with what's going on at a street level.
Earlier on this year, I heard this tragic story that a myth has circulated very, very rapidly throughout Africa, and as unbelievable as it sounds to us, people believe, and the myth is precipitated, that if you suffer from HIV or you have AIDS, you can pass that disease on and away from yourself if you have sex with a child under the age of 7. And that's one myth. Another is if she's a virgin, another if she's under the age of 3. And the figures in South Africa have drastically increased for child rape and even infantile rape, within families. I mean, it's just too unbearable and too unbelievable, but it is true.
My wife and I, having been kind of involved in putting this idea in her head about the terrible cases of rape, and specifically child rape, that happened in South Africa, there'd been a very moving and straightforward documentary that I'd seen in London just before we went on our holiday, and it was very fresh in my mind. And my wife was determined to try and do something about it, and it was as if fate put us together. Suddenly there was this girl, Charlotte, who's 40, is setting up, charities to help people, and it was a very natural next step. And then we told Charlotte about the things that are happening down there, and she almost immediately went and set stuff up, So it's great.
So we've paid, it's a very small project for the moment, but we've paid for an initial 2 counsellors, and we'd like to go on and do more later on, to be trained specifically in child rape issues and battered women issues, because quite often apparently domestic violence and rape issues go hand in hand in South Africa, as they probably do elsewhere. And so that's another sort of very new project for us. We've only just funded it, and we hope to sort of make some sort of significant effort in that direction as well. It occurred to me this year that we have to do more. We have to raise more funds, we have to go into more communities, create more employment, have more leverage to be able to bring in very significant orders. And so we thought of this idea of asking the leaders of the world, maybe 120 of them in their field, in film, royalty, in theatre, in comedy, in TV, chefs, whatever, you know, people admired, unsung heroes, politicians, all sorts of world leaders, to give us a piece of artwork. And we called it 21st Century Leaders, because that's what they essentially are. And this is the sort of package they now receive. It's like an activity set. It's sort of inspired by a children's activity set, but it's a world leaders activity set.
I think I've designed maybe a T-shirt or something in the past for charities, but this was quite daunting because it's so well organised. She's got this case, this kind of travelling case, which is quite James Bond, you know, and you open it up and there's a camera and pencils and felt tips and things and all the blank plates. And you sit down and it is, because they just say anything you'd like to design would be good. And sign it, you know, the signatures is as important really for them in terms of raffling it and making money as anything else. So you're just faced with this blank circle of paper and to do with what you will.
Yeah, it's a very simple concept. We ask for 15 minutes of a leader's time. They draw the artwork, and I will use that artwork to create employment for as many years as I possibly can, maybe 2, 5, if we're lucky, 10 years. And that creates jobs for that length of time. It creates royalties to do charity work for that length of time. So it's not a one-off sale. It's not a one-off auction. It's a long-term programme of 15 minutes of their time.
I understand that Samuel L. Jackson has done a plate and Ewan McGregor has done a plate, so those are pretty good figureheads to kick off the project, so I'm joining the bandwagon and I hope this is going to provoke a few other people to do the same.
We've got the first artwork from Samuel Jackson, and talk me about the spirit of Ubuntu.
How does it feel?
It feels great! It feels fantastic. We've started, and he's going to try and get Juliette Binoche for us too. So it's really exciting, and he was a very decent man.
I know that not everybody finds doing an artwork easy. We understand that they are leaders in music and, you know, in film, and that they don't necessarily know how to draw, which is why we're simply asking for a stick person on the one hand and something simple, just a message of hope and a symbol of hope. And with that I can, you know, hopefully raise hundreds of thousands of pounds and, more importantly, create employment for hundreds of people who need it. In order to launch the project, in order to make it really successful, in order to achieve our aims, I need 36 people who are leaders in their field to come forward and to give 15 minutes or 20 minutes or half an hour of their time to do a piece of artwork for us, and I'll then be able to take that artwork, go to developing countries, use the artwork to create products, initially plates, and then those plates will be sold all over the world in every industrialised market, and the distributors that I work with will give a licensing fee back in each piece that they sell, and that licensing fee will be given 100% to work with child rights issues, poverty alleviation and the environment.
Get hold of the James Bond suitcase and open it up and get designing a plate. Design the plate. Do the plate.
Ubaba ethwele imithwalo